Thank you so very much for joining me. Hope you all are well out there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God is good. Amen, amen. I meant to jump on yesterday, but things weren't working in my favor to get the live. So I'm on today to bring you commentary pertaining to yesterday's commentary testimony on the U.S. versus R. Kelly and today's testimony with Mr. Keith Williams. I will be bringing you that said information. It's a bit lengthy, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hello, Dharma Dozen. How are you, darling? Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so much. I don't really want to read all this stuff because it's like lengthy. So what I'm going to do is try my best to get it cohesive. Thank you so much. Thank you, darling. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Got so much going on this little table here. A little bit of too much going on. Okay, I don't want to get too close to you guys. Y'all see me enough as it is. All right, thank you. I've got 11 viewing. Thank you so very much. Thank you, darling. Hello, Dee Dee. How are you, honey? Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, hello. Hello, everybody in the chat. Hello, Night Owl. Hello, Joelle. Hi. Thank you all. Hi, hi. Hello, Soul Survivor. Thank you. I'm gonna play something that's the end of the trial that's wrapping it up. Then I'm gonna take you back from yesterday to today because I didn't jump on yesterday to bring you what happened in court yesterday. So right now, BNC is the news source. This is audio. Welcome to go into the YTQ to bring the said information to watch the entire video of this clip. It's 5 minutes long. I'm gonna play it for you guys. Thank you all so much. I'm gonna go ahead and get the audio on up. Here we go. Thank you all. Thanks.
The day of testimony has wrapped up in New York for the trial of singer R. Kelly. Our BNC correspondent Drake Barkley is live outside that courtroom with the latest. Drake?
Hi, honey. Thank you.
Tashana, good afternoon. After nearly 3 full days of testifying, R. Kelly's second accuser, who wants to be called Jane, concluded her testimony earlier today. Meanwhile, R. Kelly's defense team picked up where they left off yesterday, which is to try and show a pattern of discrepancies and inconsistencies in Jane's testimony here. Now, under cross-examination this morning, Jane read from several letters that Kelly's team said she wrote to family members. The contents of some of those letters we have to paraphrase because the content is not suitable for TV. But in the letter, she spoke about how she believed her parents actually pimped her out to R. Kelly and that her mother insisted she take pictures and videos of her and R. Kelly together so they could blackmail him down the road. She also said in the letter that her mother would drop her off to Kelly in the wee hours of the morning to be alone with him. And she says her mother wrote R. Kelly saying, "Since you're having sex with my daughter, deposit $20,000 in my bank account and then $10,000 each month after that." She said her parents used her to lure Kelly for blackmail, and she said her father wanted to provide lighting for Kelly's concerts through his company, but Kelly declined that offer, and she says her mother even wanted to partner with Kelly in a sex toy business. But under redirect from prosecutors, Jane made it very clear that R. Kelly made her write those letters and that the letters actually never made it to her family members' homes. Instead, she said the letters went to R. Kelly's lawyer's office. She says Kelly made her write the letters as a form of protection from prosecution if he was ever called into court about their relationship. And she said her mother never spoke of blackmailing R. Kelly or sending pictures of them together, and that it was Kelly who demanded she add the word blackmail to the letter to make her parents look bad and look greedy. Now, she did agree under cross-examination that her parents, while living in Florida, they did sign a paper handing over guardianship to an associate of R. Kelly because she wanted to move to Chicago to better her music career. But the defense pointed out that her parents never actually made any contact with that associate who was responsible for watching over their daughter while she was living in Chicago with R. Kelly to try and better her music. Lastly here, Keith Williams was the last person to testify before the recess for lunch. He testified that he was a former manager of R. Kelly, that he had known him for a long time. He's now a pastor in Chicago. But what's key to his testimony, and it was brief, he said that R. Kelly came to him asking about a minister that could marry him and Aaliyah. And Williams said that he did know of a person, Nathan Edmond, and it was that pastor who married Aaliyah and R. Kelly. Tashani.
Right, if any of this is true, I mean, this is shocking, to say the least.
It is, the details.
You can see her face.
Shocking, they're extremely graphic.
Usually people on the news don't make expressions when they're giving a story.
In the courtroom. But what's key to remember here is that on one side, you have these letters that these accusers have written to friends or family members talking about, how they tried to steal from R. Kelly or they tried to take advantage of R. Kelly. They all make the claim that none of that is true, that R. Kelly made them write certain details to get it on paper, again, to protect himself from criminal prosecution because they say he was aware that he was dealing with minors. So, again, very graphic and very stunning detail. And this is only the second accuser to testify against R. Kelly. We still have 3 more to go. We never know who's going to testify next because the judge wants to really keep that under wraps. But the majority of the details we've heard so far have been very disturbing. Tashani.
Yeah, to say the least. So, Dre, Jane, R. Kelly's former companion who testified today, while she was on the stand, what was R. Kelly's reaction?
This is, again, the second accuser who has said and provided in great detail the abuses she suffered at his hand, whether it was physical abuse, sexual abuse, or humiliating acts that was captured on video. And what I've seen each time when those accusers have testified is R. Kelly becomes somewhat animated, and he's constantly talking to his attorneys, which one sits on his right, one sits on his left. Obviously probably feeding them notes on how to challenge the testimony that's being offered. But beyond that, he is very much controlled, and he just simply looks forward. But that's the only time we ever see him become animated is while some of those details are being shared by his accusers.
Dre, thank you for that report, and we know you will stay on top of this case. Thank you again.
All righty. That is Black Folks News. For those of you who ain't never heard about it, because I'm on it now with this new BNC commentary. I did not know they were on the YT. I just found them, 2 days ago or so. So that will be one of my sources I will use from now on pertaining to any black entertainment, news, trials, information. Thank you all for joining me. Let me address what was said in that commentary. Okay. Whether you're a fan, not a fan, that's your choice. This is a commentary channel. I bring you my commentary. I bring you a source. You're entitled to believe whatever you want to believe about whatever pertaining to Robert Kelly, Pookie, Ray Ray, doesn't matter. I'm going to address this because I got so much to bring you to catch up from yesterday. We do know that Robert had Geronda to do the same thing as far as writing letters to say this, to say that, as to not be brought up on charges for sleeping with a child. Now that was done with Geronda. So when you look at this situation, one could say he did also the same thing. He had Miss Jane Doe 5, which is supposed to be Miss Azriel, write all these letters, write up all this information saying mama want money, daddy want money, put it in a bank account, whatever, because that's his MO. To keep himself free from prosecution, he would have the ladies write up fraudulent letters and statements saying they're doing this willingly, families in cahoots knowing they're with him, asking for money. But now we're hearing contradictory information about the signing of the child over to one of his associates for guardianship. Now they're saying his parents never even made contact with that said person. So now we have to ask ourselves, well, how did the girl get back to Chicago with R. Kelly? Because it is said in the beginning of this courtship, they had to send somebody to the hotel room down in Florida because they knew she was in that said room. Well, see, that's a problem right there. See, all of this is contradictory in itself because how would you have known where they were? She left. How did you know where she was when she was in Florida the first time? So you had to have known she was in that room. Allegedly, it's the mother who got the phone number originally. So see, that looks bad. Then one could argue this situation now with the letters. He is known to ask the girls to write letters. But then the jump off is in the beginning, you are the one who got the phone number. So what is the truth? In the end, Robert Kelly is the adult. And he did know that she was a minor. You can argue all day who lied, didn't tell their age. He knew Azriel was a minor. Because when she went to Chicago, it is alleged that he was going to have her homeschooled when she left and came back. So when she was in Chicago the first time, he knew she was a minor. Allegedly, she left Chicago, went back to Florida, came back, and this is where this guardianship stuff comes into play. But now we have testimony or allegations that the parents never met the actual guardian or talked to them, had contact. So that means who actually had guardianship of the child? Because R. Kelly knew she was a child. And there's also argument about Geronda's testimony that she lied to him, that everybody lied to him about their age. Well, we already know with Geronda's situation. Shortly after meeting her, he did know how old she was because she said she told him. She felt bad about having sexual relations with a grown man, so she went ahead and confessed to her age. So early on, Robert knew she was a child. And the fact that he wanted her to dress up as a Girl Scout with pigtails, that should tell you something. He knew all these girls were children. He solicited children. He also solicited Geronda to go out and bring young girls back to him. If you remember that testimony from Surviving R. Kelly. So at some point, Robert, these were underage girls. Because why would a 16-year-old be hanging with a 25-year-old woman? She wouldn't be. And the girls he brought, he asked her to bring, they are children because she was a child. So I just wanted to cap on that. And the defense can say, in defense of R. Kelly, well, this is information that you all made up, trying to blackmail him, yah. You've known to lie before. You've lied on the CBS Morning Show with Gayle King, saying that he wasn't abusing you and the other young lady. Now you're saying you got letters that he made you write. See where I'm going with this? Because that's the thing about lying, you see. Once you start, people are not going to know what is the truth when you try to take it back. So people who are R. Kelly fans will say, to his defense, well, you were aiding him 2 years ago before he got arrested. And you told the world on the CBS Morning Show that you all lied. Now you're saying to the world that you lied because he was in the room. You didn't want punishment, this and that. You knew how he was, abusive, nasty sexual acts, other sexual acts with other women, men. Why'd you stay? But then the flip of the coin is always, what's the difference between being abused by R. Kelly and being abused by Pookie Ray Ray? Because women are abused by men every day, whether they are children or adults. They stay anyway, so why would it be different because it's R. Kelly? And that's the thing that I don't like about the commentary pertaining to this type of situation, is that everyone is putting him on a pedestal that the women should have left, the girls should have left. Well, my thing is they don't leave regular women, and these are regular women and girls. They're no different than the next person over here who dates an abusive man, who's violent, who's doing sexual acts she doesn't really want to do. Yes, she stays with him anyway. Menage a trois, this and that, bringing in people, prostitution, solicitation, it's all the same. And she stays anyway. Same thing with staying around a pimp. Why would you do it? You don't like it. But everyone has his or her own reasons why they do things. But women stay in abusive relationships every day with similar scenarios that took place with R. Kelly have taken place with other men. And I'm sure many of you have heard daunting stories, horrible stories of women who stayed with men who prostituted them, beat them, raped them, ridiculed them, made them do salacious acts with other people, and yet they stayed. The only difference, the guy's name wasn't Robert Sylvester Kelly, R&B sensation. Still no difference. I'm going to bring you commentary now pertaining to testimony by Jane Doe number 5 wrapped up yesterday, and testimony from a Mr. Keith Williams, who was mentioned briefly in this commentary. This is by Vulture. R. Kelly's tour manager was concerned about a Aaliyah relationship but didn't stop it. As testimony in R. Kelly's Brooklyn Federal Court sex crimes trial came to an end for the week on Friday afternoon, more details emerged about how Kelly allegedly controlled his inner circle using their devotion with the purported aim of preying on girls and women. Testimony from Kelly's former road manager, Demetrius Smith, reflected an obligation to Kelly despite his deep reservations over the R&B star's alleged sexual relationship with Aaliyah when she was in her early teens and he was in his mid to late 20s. And know that what I'm reading you is a recap from last week into today, and today marks 20 years the death of Aaliyah Houghton, for those of you who did not know that. She's been dead now 20 years from a plane crash. Thank you. And her music has now been released by her uncle, Mr. Hankerton, as of last Friday to streaming devices. So if you are not R. Kelly fan, but an Aaliyah fan, you're welcome to go out and search different avenues to see if you can get her music downloaded. Thank you all for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. And if you want to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you all so much. All super chats are welcome during the live. Okay, here we go. Recapping from days ago. Smith's continued commitment to Kelly was apparent in court. "I don't want to be here, period," Smith said when it was time for him to take the witness stand. As most of you all know that. And he was granted immunity from prosecution, except for crimes such as obstruction of justice, witness intimidation, and perjury. He previously spoke in the Lifetime docuseries Surviving R. Kelly. "You're in good company. A lot of people don't," Judge Ann Donnelly said. "The bottom line is you have to testify. I didn't do anything to be prosecuted for it, so testify, period," said Smith, whose behavior ranged from combative to somewhat taunting during his time in court. And naturally, this makes no sense because he allowed himself to take the clause for immunity. So why would you then go through the trouble of flying to New York and get in that courtroom and show out and act like his ass? You're really not his friend. And I've said this in my previous commentary. Demetrius Smith is not a friend, because if you were actually loyal to R. Kelly, you would have never taken the clause for immunity. You would have done whatever you had to do, go to court, walk it out with your 12 members, or took a plea to the judge, however you want to do it. But you would not have taken the clause. So you're not loyal as you're portraying yourself to be. And the fact that you eventually knew he and Aaliyah were sexually involved, which you suspected something was going on, once you found out she was allegedly pregnant. So that means he confirmed that they've been messing around. Because how could you get pregnant if you're not having sex with someone? So you went along with this, working for R. Kelly, knowing he had been messing with her. You never went back and said anything to her uncle that you knew that the girl was possibly pregnant and or messing with R. Kelly. So you're just a dog as well. And to sit up and play all crazy in court trying to act like, well, I don't want to testify, why I gotta be here, yah. Sir, you chose all of that. You chose to be involved with R. Kelly. You chose to do things illegal for R. Kelly. And you also knew at some point he had been sleeping with this young girl, underage. And you said whatever you said to R. Kelly, we'll never know the truth. You still rode the ride. So it really doesn't matter. And getting in the court, showing out last week and acting all crazy and combative, what was the point? Because you rode this ride with Sylvester. Okay? That's that. I'm trying not to read all of it because it's just a matter of, it's very long and winded. Okay, let's see. It says here he worked for him, Mr. Kelly, from 1984 to 1996. Okay. And then it said he was blown away by Kelly's perfect work when they met. Oh, God. See, all this. If I didn't know any better, I think he liked men. This is making the stuff they're saying is stupid. He said at the beginning, Smith said, I just wanted to be someone he could look up to. As Kelly's career picked up, Smith said, I just wanted him to be comfortable. Okay. Then it says in 92, after Kelly's career had taken off, The singer's then manager, Barry Hankerson, told him and Smith about his niece in Detroit, Aaliyah Dana Houghton. Hankerson wanted them to hear her sing, so they traveled to Michigan and went to Houghton's house. She was very shy, Smith said of Aaliyah. Kelly went to the piano and brought angelic stuff out of her. Really? Okay. Don't she have something special? They both thought. Aaliyah and her parents wound up traveling to Chicago so she and Kelly could work together. She had just turned 13. And the prosecuting attorneys are alleging that Robert started sleeping with her at 13. That is what the state is alleging. Not 15. Yes, we all socialized, Smith said. If Robert wanted to be alone with Aaliyah, it was all about the music. That means nothing to me because as we've seen with Robert, this is what he tells people. Guy, girl, whomever. Hey, I want to hear you sing. Hey, I want to see what you got. But then once he's in your peripheral, vice versa, he's now trying to put his hands on you. He's soliciting you for sex. So there's no telling what he said to Aaliyah the first time they were alone. Come on now. And for you to even say that it was all about the music, that's a lie. Because how is it that she ended up having sex with him and allegedly getting pregnant? So we don't even know to this day if she was actually pregnant. The only person that can tell that would be Robert Kelly if he has proof. That's one. Two, the woman's dead. She can't tell us if she actually got pregnant by him. This is BS. Just a bunch of BS. And he also goes on to say he saw that they were playful at times. And he said, I asked him, Robert, everything Aaliyah. And that makes no sense to say, are you cool? Well, they must have been cool, but why would he be doing whatever he was doing for you to say anything? I just thought they were over playful, he continued, also recalling that he had asked, Robert, are you messing with Aaliyah or anything? He said no. I didn't want people to have the wrong vision of things, Smith said of his inquiries. Well, people will have the same vision you have. If you are looking at two people that look like they like each other, or one's flirting with the other, you don't think the other people aren't noticing the same thing? Okay, whatever. So let's go there. How many people knew that Robert was overly playful with Aaliyah? How was Aaliyah acting towards Robert Kelly back then? And it says here, Kelly's involvement with Aaliyah took an even more disturbing tour when he was on tour in 1994. Shortly before Kelly was to perform one night, he remarked that Aaliyah was in trouble. After the show, they headed to the airport and boarded a plane back to Chicago. Smith described Kelly's demeanor as quiet. She thinks she's pregnant, Smith recalls Kelly saying. See, there's your proof right there. You are sleeping with a minor, no parents around, no uncle around, and you are now hearing this man tell you that he thinks this girl is pregnant. The same young lady that you think he's overly playful with, all of you had a hand in this. From her parents to Mr. Hankerson, the uncle, Robert Kelly, and you too, sir. So all these excuses you're making in the courtroom, showing out and stuff, is for what? Wanting her to be there. Why would you want to be discussing Aaliyah in front of her in the courtroom? Then you said something about her parents. You didn't want to talk about it without her parents being there. What do you think her parents want to hear you talk about their child? She did, for one. And then that's going to make them go back in time realizing they gave their child over to the uncle who was not supervising their child. And he allowed this to happen. And like I said, children will get into things when they are not around their parents. That's common sense. We've all done things that were not in our best interests when our parents were not around. I think we all can agree to that. But continuously having sex with a grown man, that's a whole nother level. A whole nother level. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Kelly said that one of his confidants was making arrangements for him to marry Aaliyah to protect himself and to protect Aaliyah. The idea behind this was that if Aaliyah were married to Kelly, she couldn't testify against him. Smith told Kelly that just because Aaliyah said she was pregnant doesn't mean she's pregnant. So now we go back to that. Why did he think she wasn't pregnant? So, once again, do we have proof that Aaliyah was ever pregnant? As I said, only person knows is dead and Robert Kelly. He was crying a lot. He was crying, Smith said. I told him that he couldn't marry Aaliyah, that she was too young. He was confused. He said, which side was I on? Smith wound up playing an integral role in the illicit nuptials. Shortly after arriving in Chicago, they went to a hotel where Aaliyah was in a room. He didn't like what was going on, but felt like he he would be pushed out of Kelly's circle. So you see, once again, he rode the ride because he was a fame whore and he wanted to be in the company of R. Kelly. So you willingly know he's sleeping with a child and you hung around anyway. Knowing this, you also went and got documents forged, found a priest, pastor, whomever to marry her, married them, and yet you sit in court acting like you're Robert's best friend. How is it even all these years later you're worrying about an illiterate man, what he thinks of you? Robert has his own problems, okay? Hi, John. How are you, baby? Thank you. Why are you worrying about Robert? Robert has enough problems right now. Robert has got to decide if he is going to take a plea or wait to see what 12 members are going to say. Like you're sitting up here worrying about an ass man. This is what leads me to think, hell, did you like him? Yeah, I'm saying that because it's been said he likes men. So therefore, I'm just wondering what the hell's going on. This what is the word I'm looking for? This pledge these people have for R. Kelly is sickening. But you see other people are like this. I've met many people like this. I've met men like this. Their friend, homeboy, he's a football player, pro, college ball, and if he told him to jump in the river without a damn life preserver, he jump in. Women too. Family members too, because somebody's famous. So what? So what? I know somebody famous. I know quite a few famous people. They all play pro ball. I'm not going to go jump in the water because they said, hey, Angie, there's gold down there. Jump in. It'll sit there. First of all, big girl can't swim. Two, I'm not a fool. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody's not your friend. You see, Robert used his fame to lure people in to be puppets. And these are the worst type of puppets because they went along with some salacious acts between a grown man and children. And in the end, it doesn't matter if they lied about their age. You still knew it sometimes for kids. Once you found out, oh, she lied about her age, you got to get out of here, boo-boo. I can't mess with you. You understand what I'm saying? Robert knew better, and he rode the ride anyway. So you can say whatever you want about who lied, who didn't lie, who mom or daddy was for the ride. If a parent knew that they dropped their child off with a grown man, they're guilty. If any of them ever asked them for any money, they're guilty. You see, you're never going to know the truth about really what went on between all these participants. But one thing I do know for sure is Robert fancies children. He fancies men. He fancies boys and girls. That's already been proven. So all the other makes no difference. Yes, idol worship. Okay. As he stated, I wanted to stay in the loop. Smith said he would get Aaliyah a fake ID because she couldn't marry at her age. Smith figured someone in the welfare office would give an ID card in exchange for some cash. Using a hey, want to make some money approach, he drove to the welfare office with Kelly and Aaliyah in a car behind him. Now, that's crazy. How do you just walk up to an office and ask a person, hey, you want to make some money? Aren't other people listening? Was there a long line when you went in the line? Or did you already know somebody and you talked to them on the low to the side and they was expecting you to come in? Come on, Queen. And then it transpired that way. Because I can't see you walking into a government office and the first person comes to the window. You say to that person, hey, I'm here for Robert Kelly. He trying to marry this young ass girl. Will you give me a fake ID? I give you $500. You know it didn't go down like that. Because you don't know who you would have gotten behind that glass window partition. Shut up. See, game recognized game. Somebody had already turned you on to who the person is. And you all had already done conspired on the low behind closed doors. There's no way you did that shit out in the open. Excuse my language, but you didn't do that out in the open. They found an obliging clerk. I made her an offer. She took the money. I gave her $500, he said. Eventually, they made their way to a city clerk's office where Kelly and Aaliyah got a marriage license. 2 crimes. He was 27. She was 15. I'm uncomfortable talking constantly about Aaliyah, Smith snapped shortly after describing the marriage plot. Parents aren't here, and I don't want to understand why I got to do that. This is bad writing. But anyway, See, once again, why do her parents need to be there? Why would you want to talk about a dead woman in front of her parents? Why do you want to talk about a dead woman? Why does dead woman need to be there is what I'm saying. This is stupid. This whole conversation is stupid. Smith's most fervent expression of remorse seemed to come Monday morning when the trial resumed. That shouldn't have happened. That was wrong. I shouldn't be talking about Aaliyah. She's not here, he said. Once again, if the dead woman was alive and sitting there, you would feel comfortable talking about her business in front of her in the courtroom? See, this dude is high. I don't know where he's coming from. He's a buffoon. Now, on to what happened today in court. And I will get back to Miss Jane Doe number 5's testimony from yesterday. Another R. Kelly associate testified on Wednesday that at his Brooklyn federal court trial about the singer's marriage to Aaliyah, who died 20 years ago to the day. Keith Williams said that a person in his church introduced him to Kelly before he got signed. We've been friends for a long time, he said. Did you ever have an opportunity to meet people in the defendant's inner circle, the prosecution asked. I met a number of people, Williams said. Are you familiar with an individual named Barry Hankerson? Prosecutors asked, referring to Kelly's former manager, who was also Aaliyah's uncle. Yes, he said. Are you familiar with an individual named Aaliyah? She's an entertainer who died in a tragic death. What was their relationship? I'm told they were married. It was referenced in the public. He said he believed that Hankerson and Aaliyah were blood relatives. Williams, who worked as a mortgage broker in the mid-1990s, was then asked whether Kelly ever visited him at his office. He said yes, and then was asked to provide information on what happened during his visit. He indicated, I believe, he was gonna get married. Prosecutors asked whether Kelly indicated who he wanted to marry. Aaliyah. Williams testified that there were a number of people with Kelly, including Smith. The prosecution asked Williams what Kelly said to him. He asked if I knew a minister. Williams said yes and gave him the name of a clergyman. Williams said he didn't recall whether he had called a minister and that Kelly didn't specify when the marriage was going to take place. But he said my assumption was it's going to be soon. Now this is interesting. This is over near 30 years ago. Not quite 30. And he says in this deposition in court, he didn't recall whether he called the minister or when the marriage was going to take place. Well, they're coming to you to ask you, do you know somebody? And you gave up somebody. So how in the hell you don't remember if you called the minister or not? Well, how would they go to the man if they didn't know him? Have you noticed everybody's got amnesia? I don't want to talk. I don't want to speak. Don't nobody know nothing. Yes, well, throw it for me. Jesus, this is sick. When I got in trouble, Robert offered to give me a job, he said, breaking into tears. Williams said he did not wind up working for Kelly. During his brief cross-examination, Kelly defense attorney Deborah O'Connor asked, Mr. Williams, do you recall occasions when Robert would call you crying? Williams answered yes. Prosecutors objected, and that line of questioning ended. Okay, so I guess that would be considered hearsay. That's the end of that said information about Aaliyah, Mr. Williams, and Mr. Smith. So once again, here we have a man crying on the witness stand about his relationship with R. Kelly. He offered him a job, whatever. Now he's playing dumb like he don't remember if he called a pastor or not, but yet they're there to get the information from you about a pastor. But you don't remember if you called the pastor. All these people are complicit in knowing about Aaliyah before he married her. Whether it was during the time he was messing with the girl and or after the fact. Because you see, he just testified that several people came to his office with R. Kelly. So it was an entourage. So now we ask ourselves, how many people were there? So that means all these people who were there knew about Aaliyah. Been known about Aaliyah. Wow. You people something else. All of you, whoever the hell you are, y'all dogs. I said that. Capital D. Yes, they all should be charged. Yes, everybody that rode the ride with R. Kelly from day one up until now, yes, because you aided him. And this is another thing that's bothering me, is the fact that all this went on about the ID, the work card from this like UPS store, The people at the clerk's office, the welfare office, and this old fake preacher. How is it that we're just now, 2021, getting this all in court? This should have been done years ago. Because when the parents realized the child was married to Robert and got it annulled 6 months later or so, they should have went into the state's office and said, I want everybody involved who signed off the signature to be charged alongside Robert Kelly. Now you have to ask yourselves this. When the parents found out about the girl being married, why did they not charge R. Kelly with statutory rape and had everybody else in cahoots with getting the fake ID, license, yada yada, also charged? Now that's what you should be talking about. But nobody wants to talk about Aaliyah because she's a decedent and she's dead. It don't matter. She's the jump off of all of these problems we're discussing now in this trial. The trial from 2008. She's the jump off that we know of. She's the jump off. Sadly, sorry, but it is what it is. She's the jump off of these problems. And I want to know why these parents did not get R. Kelly charged with statutory rape. See, that's why I said it's more to it. Because that means they rode the ride too. So while everybody's talking bad about this person's parent, the hell you should be talking about Aaliyah's parents. You should be talking about Aaliyah's uncle, Mr. Hankerson. He had to know something because he's the one that set all this up for R. Kelly and Mr. Smith to come to Detroit to listen to her sing. Same one who had to take her. Well, she went to Chicago at some point with her parents. Well, hell, she had to have gotten left there. Because what am I to believe? She stayed in Chicago 2 days a week, 3 days a week, once a week, what? What are we talking? R. Kelly was flying into Detroit or driving to Detroit to see the girl. So how did he get along with her, whether it was she was in Chicago or he was in Detroit? And you now have testimony to show he left Florida at the end of a tour, went back home to Chicago to marry her in Chicago. So that means she was alone in a hotel by herself. Where was her uncle? Where were her parents? Call a spade a spade. I'm not leaving nobody out. For those that think they know me, I'm not leaving anybody out. Anybody that had full knowledge of the relationship between Aaliyah and Mr. Robert, any young girls with Mr. Robert, you are all complicit. But that's the whole point of this story, where it's the proof of the parents knowing that the child is messing with a grown man and or battling Mr. Robert Kelly for money. That's that information I just brought you is by Vulture. If you need verification for the story. Thank you for joining me. Okay. USA Today is my next source. Thank you all so much for joining me. Hello, everybody. Woman says star forced her to have sex with another man, lied to defend him. Accuser Jane Doe, number 5, testified for a second day at R. Kelly's sex trafficking trial. This was yesterday, describing forced sex and being trained to lie to defend Kelly. In this said commentary, you will see a picture of Robert standing over Gayle King where he's hollering and screaming. You know that infamous interview that was done 2 years ago where he was hollering and screaming, talking about his life, y'all killing him. I ain't done nothing to you, sir. I don't know you. You did this to yourself because you're like little kids. I said that. A witness who accused R. Kelly for sexually abusing her in 2015 when she was an aspiring teen singer returned to the stand Tuesday on the 5th day of the R&B star's sex trafficking trial, telling the jury that Kelly forced her to have sex with another man and trained her to defend him in public even when her defense wasn't always truthful. The witness, the second accuser to take the stand in Kelly's trial in federal court in Brooklyn, testified as Jane. Based on court documents and the opening statement by prosecutors, she appeared to be Jane Doe, number 5. One of the 6 complaining witnesses against Kelly. So far, we have 2 Jane Does that have testified against Robert Sylvester Kelly, Geronda Pace, and this Jane Doe, number 5, is alleged to be Azriel Clary. The witnesses identified herself as one of the 2 women living with Kelly at his Chicago Trump Tower condo until the end of 2019. She said she made her first public appearance concerning Kelly when she participated in an interview CBS anchor Gayle King conducted with Kelly. And in that said interview, you will remember it was Miss Jocelyn and Azriel. King also interviewed the two women identified as Kelly's living girlfriends. King's on-camera encounter with Kelly turned out to be the shattering for him when he became enraged and dissolved into hysterics, screaming and crying while under King's questioning about the sexual abuse allegations raised against him in the TV docuseries Surviving R. Kelly. The witness on Tuesday testified that Kelly made his girlfriends practice answering questions about him in an effort to better defend him. The prosecutor asked her if she was truthful when she was interviewed by King. I was not, she said, adding that Kelly was in the room when the two women spoke to King on camera. He did a cough to let us know he was near, she said. He was letting us know he was in the room with us. She testified that Kelly was abusive during her time with him, but she never said that publicly, which she said publicly today. Yes, she said. She said she was not, she said she has not had any contact with Kelly since January 2020. And it is now August 2021, so a year and a half. She described ways she said Kelly chastised or punished her for various reasons, including that she was forced to have sex with a man whom Kelly addressed as nephew, and Kelly recorded it on iPad. He wanted me to please nephew the same way I pleased him, she said. Did she want to have sexual contact with nephew? Never, she said. Why did you? It was punishment, she said. She described having to write groveling letters to Kelly, 4 of which were admitted into evidence. These letters would not be acceptable, she said. These were apology letters. A quote from one of the letters says, as long as I'm apologizing and accepting my chastisement, you should be happy. Everything with me is a problem, and I'm desperate to make it work. This isn't teaching. I don't know what more you want from me. She said Kelly saw chastising as teaching. On Monday, the witness, now 23, said Kelly pressured her for sex as the price of an audition and a promise to her to achieve a singing career. She said she initially told Kelly she was 18, but she was really 17 at the time. She wept when she testified that she contracted herpes after sex with Kelly. She said he hadn't disclosed he had a sexually transmitted disease. As I told most of you, 9 times out of 10, he wouldn't tell anyone he had it because, one, he's made claims that he doesn't care about it. He doesn't feel like it's a big deal. So if a person is telling you they don't think that the disease is a big deal, then why the hell would they tell a woman that they have it, or a man? It just would not. Okay. She wept when she testified that she contracted herpes after sex with Kelly. She said he hadn't disclosed he had a sexually transmitted disease. I'll repeat that. This man purposely gave me something he knew he had, she said of Kelly, whose charges include knowingly infecting some of his accusers with the sexually transmitted disease. And this is the charges that are coming out of New York pertaining to 2 women that's a part of the allegations against Mr. Kelly. He's infected 2 women from the state of New York. In the state of New York, it is a crime to knowingly infect someone with a disease. Witnesses say R. Kelly made her call him daddy, details abuse allegations. She said she met Kelly during his Black Panties tour and testified that Kelly later recorded their sexual encounters and coerced her into getting an abortion in 2017. The witness also testified about Kelly's abuse toward her, including allegedly assaulting her with a shoe, for texting a friend and allegedly slapping her across the face when she revealed to him that she was underage. On cross-examination by defense attorney Devereaux Kennick, the witness said she moved in with Kelly in 2015 when she was still a junior in high school, and his alleged abuse began a few months later. Now, this testimony is saying she lied about her age, but that to me seems odd because it seems like to me he already knew how old she was because allegedly it's her mother who gave R. Kelly, they're the ones who initially got the phone numbers exchanged. Her mother and Robert. The testimony I brought you the other day, it states that the number that she called was an incorrect number. Her mother had the original number to reach R. Kelly. So you mean to tell me that when the mother talked to Robert, she never told Robert, hey, my child is 17? Anybody following this? I don't know what to believe but pertaining to the parents. Let me say this. But I do believe it could be possibly some hanky-panky, only because when all this Surviving R. Kelly came out and there were interviews with the parents, the mother fell off. And I thought that was strange and suspicious. Your child is with this man. Everybody's rallying trying to get these kids back. And then finally, you fall off from the interview process. Then there was rumors that she was going through something with her and her husband, which I figured that would happen. Because what happened is people started judging them and wondering what the hell was going on. Were they complicit? Were they blackmailing R. Kelly? I don't know. And these letters, as I've said to you, R. Kelly is known to make women, girls, write fake letters as so he won't get prosecuted for sleeping with a child. That lets you know he knows that you're a child. For those who keep wanting to say, he don't know, he don't know. Well, at some point he finds out. And he still messes around with the girls and the boys. So that's why he's got them writing fake letters. So this is what Ms. Azrael is saying, Jane Doe number 5. These letters that you're hearing her read in court yesterday are fraudulent letters pertaining to her parents. Now, the defense can say, and R. Kelly fans, well, she lied to Gayle King. Who's to say she ain't lying about the letters? That's the point of the story. You're never going to know what's the truth. But I believe R. Kelly made them write fake letters because he's a narcissist and he has a God complex. And he thinks his shit don't stink. So he strikes me as a person who write fake letters. Why not? He had his friend go get all these documents to marry a 15-year-old. And I do believe the prosecutors claimed that he was sleeping with Aaliyah at 13. So you want me to believe he wouldn't make this girl here and Miss Jocelyn or whomever else write fake stuff that they're with him willingly. Their parents were using them, selling them, all this type of stuff. Who's to say? And as I stated earlier in this commentary, the parents are saying they had no contact with the guardian who they allegedly shipped their child off to Chicago. But this is where I still have the problem with the Clarys. If they did not blackmail R. Kelly for money, why would you ship your 17-year-old up north with a strange man? You had to condone that. Because if you didn't, then that means you're basically saying Azrael ran away. So which is the truth? She left with R. Kelly on her own, or you all gave her permission to go, and or you signed guardianship to a stranger that you did not know, which makes no sense. Because why would I give guardianship to a complete stranger that I don't know anything about, just so my child can get a career that never happened? What is the truth? Did Azrael run away? Or did her parents sign up a guardianship to a mystery entourage? What is the truth? Thank you all for joining me. Okay. As I stated, she testified that he was abusive toward her, hit her with a shoe because she was texting a friend, slapping her across her face when she revealed that she was underage. On cross-examination by defense attorney Deborah O'Canick, the witness said she moved in with Kelly in 2015 when she was still a junior in high school and his alleged abuse began a few months later. There was a time he slapped me open palm, she said. After that, she said Kelly sent her home. Did she tell her parents what happened? I did not know, she said. So here's the proof. And she was staying with this grown-ass man, but supposed to be in school. Well, I don't know if this was during the summer break, what? Still, why would you send your child up with this man? Or so now you're telling me they didn't even know where their child was? And so then she has this altercation with R. Kelly and he sends her back home. The lawyers are asking her, did you tell your parents what happened? And she says, I did not. One time she allegedly had sex with Kelly in a hotel in Orlando. She said police came into the room afterward and asked her age. She told them she was 18. Did she tell the police she had been violated by Kelly? Canick asked. No, she said. She was asked and she subsequently flew back to meet him in California, another state. This is where the trafficking charges come in. Trafficking people, said persons, across state lines for sex. Then, too, if she was a minor, it is a crime. Okay. Repeat this again. Did you tell the police you've been violated? This is the defense attorney. She said no. She was asked and she subsequently flew back to meet him in California. Excuse me. I did, yes, she said. How soon? Most likely the next weekend, she said. The defense introduced a letter she wrote to Kelly after they separated, explaining she could no longer be so closely associated with him. I will have to support you privately, not publicly, the letter said. And I will always love and support you, Bear. That's his nickname, I guess. Just know I'm always here. I have no bad feelings. Bear. Yeah, he's a bear, all right. Big black bear. Big black disgusting bear. How about that? I almost said something else, but I'm gonna behave. In another letter introduces evidence, she recalled happy times she had with Kelly. I used to happy wait on Kelly at home after he finished meeting, she wrote. She remembers when we carved our initials into the table, but she couldn't remember when she wrote the letter, if it was before Surviving R. Kelly aired in January 2019 or after. The witness said she couldn't remember when asked other questions or her answers contradicted what she told prosecutors in pre-trial interviews. She said Kelly asked her to watch only him when she went to the gym to watch him play basketball. How did she do that? The witness said she didn't know. I'd go by the shoes, she said, but could not identify the brand or the color of Kelly's shoes. Any night could be a different kind of shoes. He has over 1,000, she said. Right, duh. Come on now. Did Kelly masturbate while she sang? Oh my God. Oh, this is winded. I'm 51 minutes in. See, this is a lot of reading to bring you all this sad information. Wow, this is crazy. I did Kelly masturbate while she sang? She couldn't recall, but Canick produced a witness interview with prosecutors in which she said that. She said Kelly made her call him daddy almost immediately, but she acknowledged under questioning that she also called him Papa Bear and he would call her Mama Bear. The witness said a number of women lived with her and Kelly in his homes in Atlanta and Chicago over the years, and they would eat together, go to the movies together, and go to the park together. She said one time Kelly rented a house in California for Christmas and took videos of the holiday celebrations, but she remembered Kelly giving his female friends $10,000 each as presents. Question mark. Yes, she said. The witness said she met Kelly at one of his concerts where she danced on a speaker. She said her mother was eager to approach Kelly to help her daughter's singing career, even texting him and pretending to be the teenager. Oh, Lord. Now, this is where it gets tricky, what I just read. So, allegedly, she met him at a concert. Allegedly, the mother took her to this concert. Now they're saying, allegedly, the mother was pretending to be him. It's pretending to be her daughter, excuse me. Well, maybe there's some truth to that, because allegedly, the number that she got wasn't the real number. See, you don't know what's the truth. The mother had the real phone number, because allegedly she approached R. Kelly about her child, who she knew was underage. And wouldn't she tell Mr. Kelly her child was underage? I don't know what to believe. Day 4 R. Kelly trial. Woman testified she was coerced into abortion, pressed for sex before audition. What's happened in the R. Kelly trial so far? Kelly, 54, is facing multiple charges of sex trafficking and racketeering dating back decades and involving 6 women. Jane Doe number 5 is one of the complaining witnesses. Geronda Johnson Pace, another complaining witness, said the first Kelly accuser is one of the first to testify accusers at the trial. She has previously shared her story publicly. Excuse me. She had sex with the singer when she was 16, although she initially told him she was 19, which is over the age of consent. Pace testified she had to be granted permission by the singer to use the bathroom, and that Kelly sometimes recorded their frequent sex sessions and would later show the recordings to her, point out where she could use improvement. She said she ended up contracting herpes while she was with Kelly in 2009. Kelly's primary care doctor, Chris McGrath, also testified under subpoena that he was Kelly's doctor for 25 years until 2019. McGrath said he diagnosed Kelly with genital herpes, informed the star, and told him to tell his sexual partners. He said he'd been prescribing Valtrex for Kelly since at least 2007, but could not say specifically when he concluded Kelly actually had herpes. Kelly's former assistant and tour manager, Demetrius Smith, testified under subpoena and immunity from prosecution that he helped facilitate Kelly's illegal 1994 marriage to the late singer Aaliyah, who was 15 at the time. First week of R. Kelly's trial, details spilled on fake ID obtained for 15-year-old Aaliyah to illicitly marry singer. Aaliyah is one of 6 women named by the prosecution in sex trafficking and racketeering charges against Kelly. The government accuses Kelly of leading a criminal enterprise of managers, bodyguards, employees who allegedly helped Kelly to recruit women and underage girls for sex and pornography to cross state lines for that purpose. He is also accused in the 2-year-old indictment of bribery, kidnapping, forced labor, producing child pornography, and knowingly infecting some victims with a sexually transmitted disease. Kelly has pleaded not guilty to all the charges. And this said information, Lord have mercy, is by USA Today. And at the end of this article, it states, if you are a survivor of sexual assault, you can call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE, 4673, or visit .rain.org/online and receive confidential support. That is hotline.rainn.org/online. USA Today is the source for this said information. So we have a few people who have testified against Robert Kelly thus far. That is Geronda Pace, Mr. Navarro, who's an assistant, Mr. Smith, who was a tour manager, a Mr. Williams, who also worked with Mr. Kelly, and now Jane Doe number 5. So we have 2 women who have testified against Robert. We have more women that will be testifying. Also, we have a Mr. McGrath, who was a doctor for him, who was stating that he believed R. Kelly had the disease back in 2000. Now, why he thought that, I do not know. And why that was not explained, I do not know. There's also rumors that Northwestern University, which is where Mr. McGrath is a presiding professor, is coming under investigation for his dealings with Mr. Kelly. I do not know how that will pan out. I haven't heard anything verbatim about him being investigated. This is just what I'm hearing on the YT and the news stations or whatever pertaining to Mr. Graff's tenure with Northwestern. What I'm going to say about that is this. I don't know that anyone can tell a doctor what he can and can't charge a patient. I'm sure they're supposed to have a guideline of a set fee for each thing they do, which is draw blood, x-rays, your medical visit, yah. But who's to say that there are doctors who don't charge every patient the same amount, such as people that they know, as in this case? Who's to say that I know you, I'm not going to charge you the regular fee. You need me to come to your house for something, I'm not going to charge you the regular fee, or I'm going to charge you an extra fee. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you really expect a doctor to tell you he didn't charge R. Kelly or whomever? He went to the house to treat one of the girls for the venereal disease. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out how is this going to be deemed inappropriate, him not getting paid. Because allegedly they're saying he had insurance. So now we have to ask ourselves, why did the doctor not bill the insurance for any visits, call-ins, or whatever for Robert? So, I don't know. But as I state, is it illegal in this state of Illinois to not charge a person? Because that's what the crime would have to be. Is it illegal to go to someone's home and not charge, and or have them come into the office and not charge them? That's where the crime, because I don't know the laws as far as what you can charge and not charge. And you still, it will be up in the air about getting gifts. Because once again, like I said, who's to say who can give somebody a gift? It's no different if I like my doctor and I wanted to give him a birthday card. It would only be a problem if people start hearing about it. You see where I'm going with that? Oh, must be something going on between them. Gossip. That's where I'm taking this. Because you know good and well people do things for people all the time. They're bosses, they're doctors. Where is the fine line as far as it being criminal? That's where I have the question. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for your time. USA Today was the source that I just brought to you. As most of you know, today marks 20 years that Aaliyah passed away in a tragic plane crash. Her music has just been released as of Friday on streaming devices. So please go to your nearest streaming device and download her music if you want to participate in hearing Miss Aaliyah's music. That's the set information. USA Today, Vulture, and I also brought you information pertaining to BNC, which is a black news channel pertaining to the wrapping up of the trial. As most of you know, there has been harrowing details pertaining to Robert Kelly. It has been stated by this BNC network that's on the YT that reporters didn't even want to write down what was said in court yesterday, Monday and yesterday, pertaining to the fecal matter, which is disgusting and vile. So like I said, the more the women talk, whether you believe them or not, you're entitled to your opinion. There are just certain things I can't see a person making up about dealing with Robert or any man or a woman. We do have women abusers as well. One, to willingly admit that you have contracted a disease you can't get rid of to the general public, why would a person do that? You're now letting the world know you have this disease. Now, whoever you go out here and be with, they're going to know you got it before you even give them your damn name. Whoever you've been with and you didn't reveal it, now you've got a problem. You can be sued. So this is why I tell people, you can believe whatever you want about Robert Kelly, but some of these things, it's just common sense. It's not information you would want revealed to the public. Why would I want that revealed about myself? That this man gave this to me, and that now I have this, and now any potential man I meet is going to know I have this. Everybody that meets me, sees me, knows I got it. They don't know me, they know I got it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whether you believe the parents are involved, well, we can't say whose parent was involved because, my God, look how many females it has been that were underage that have slept with R. Kelly. There's probably not enough fingers and toes to count the numerous women, underage girls that had sexual relations with Robert Kelly and that their parent, mama, guardian, grandmama knew they were out in Olympia Fields in the suburbs sleeping with a grown damn man. Come on now. Stop the foolishness. Everybody has lived as a child and as a teenager. And you're not going to make me believe that any of you in this chat or is listening to this content, your mother and father knew every word that you went and everything you did where you went. Of course not. And the things that was told in testimony in trial last week and the past couple of days, as in testimony from surviving R. Kelly, there's no way you're going to make me believe that all this information are lies. Because in the end, I'm going to say it 1,000 times over, Robert Kelly is fascinated with children. That's been proven with Aaliyah. That's been proven with Geronda. And no matter who said what, fabricated, made up this, that, lied about an age, he eventually knew shortly after the children were children. He knew they were children. He knew Geronda was a child shortly after meeting her. She said it. I broke down and I told him I'm underage. So that means he still went ahead and had sex with her. Same thing with Azrael. You knew she was a child. You had to know when you met her mama. The mother had to have told, oh, she's 17, she's this age. Why she gotta lie? You're gonna find out anyway. Because if you wanted her to be with you, and then somebody said, well, she can't go right now, first thing you'll say is, well, why can't she go? Then you'd have to say, well, she can't go because she went to school. She goes to school. So then he'll know. So it's still up to him to decide to be engaged or try to participate in the engagement with the child. And the fact that with Miss Geronda, he wanted her to dress up in Girl Scout outfits, pigtails. Why you want a grown woman to dress up like a child? You asking a child to dress up like a child. Stay woke. Does that make any damn sense to you? And do we have 16-year-old Girl Scouts running around? I don't know. I ain't never been a Girl Scout. But I'm just saying, what is the cutoff age for being a Girl Scout? Boy Scout? Stay woke. You wanted a 16-year-old to dress up like a Girl Scout. Damn, did you want her to be even younger than 16? Because now, what we've learned with Aaliyah, he met her at 13. Stay woke. Prosecutors are alleging he slept with her shortly after meeting her at 13. And we now see that nobody was supervising the child. So who's to say that he wasn't having sex with Aaliyah at 13? I believe it. Now, all the parents of these children complicit in blackmail, I cannot say. You'd have to bring me some kind of proof. Audio, checks received, that'd be the only way I believe that. But Robert is known to make young girls sign fraudulent statements that they're with him willingly and that their parents were asking for money, said monies, putting money in the bank accounts, yah, yah, yah. But in the end, you should know anybody can go to a person's bank and get statements to verify those said allegations. But you see, when you lie, you're a manipulator, you're a fraud, you're a narcissist, you're a sociopath, you're a sadist, you'll say anything, you'll do anything, and you don't think about what can be proven and what cannot be proven. And R. Kelly doesn't have that type of rationale and reasoning. He does what he wants in that moment, and he doesn't think about the repercussions. He doesn't think about who it's going to hurt. He doesn't think about what can be backed up and what can be proven because he doesn't care. He's a sociopath. And he was a hurt child who then became an adult who hurt children and women. And he has been known to violate boys as well. That will be the next upcoming testimony in the said trial, as well as the other women who will give testimony. You will also be getting testimony allegedly from boys. They are now men. So Robert Kelly is not only a pedophile, he is also a bisexual man. You see, yes, the rabbit hole is very deep. And I think it's strange how some of you, sickening really, I don't say strange, use the correct word, how you're following in behind a man who is obviously has sexual desires for men, sexual desires for boy children, sexual desires for girl children, abusive to all boys, girls, and women too, because we don't know who the hell he done beat up as a man, peeing on people as you all have stated in the chat, having the women rub fecal matter on their face as punishment, writing fraudulent letters to make himself look like he's in the clear dating children, which proves he knew that they were children. That's why he wanted them to write the fraudulent letters. He's always known, because that's who he fancies, are children. And he's got to take the heat off himself by, hey, write this down just in case later I need it. Don't you find it funny? Allegedly his lawyers have the verifications allegedly of the letters. Why would your lawyers have these letters? Just think about that for a second. Why would your lawyers have letters pertaining to you having involvement with children? So the lawyers, they're sick too. Because when you read it, they should know better. Damn, you screwing a child, excuse my expression. So you're guilty as an attorney, because that's a crime. You see, a lawyer is complicit once he or she knows of an upcoming crime. So if he continues to come to you talking about a child, then he's letting you know he's screwing a child. So therefore, you're guilty too. See, the queen stays woke. I'm always woke. It is what it is. You can follow R. Kelly to the moon and back. That's your business. And what you're not going to do is argue with me about a pedophile, because that's something I don't do. And I've told some people recently, because I've had to put a few birdies down, I'm not going to argue with you about a pedophile. And it doesn't matter to me that he hasn't been arrested for pedophilia. It's been proven that he slept with a child, then that's the end of the story. I don't need an arrest record. And I fought the people who have been involved with him. I fought the parents who willingly knew that their child was in his company. I fought the attorneys, whomever, the sisters, whomever, all that rode the ride, because you willingly knew he liked kids. You willingly knew children were going to his company. And you also knew that he was abusing these grown-ass women. But that's neither here nor there. They're grown, so they stand account for themselves. But you as a human should have said, damn, Robert, what's the problem? You like kids, you like boys, you're messing with men, damn, too, and you're abusing the women and this and that. But, hey, they turn a blind eye, laughing, cracking jokes. So that shows me you ill. And that other woman who watched one of the girls be on the floor crawling and stuff, what type of woman will walk in a room and see a young woman crawling on the floor and think that's appropriate behavior? And you stood there and you laughed at her? Because would it be funny if you was that chick down there on the ground crawling? Would that be funny then? This each day that people come forward pertaining to Robert, it has gotten worse. The allegations are worse. And when you start talking about wearing clothes to look like a guy, one will say, well, won't nobody looking at the females because he had them. Or he wanted them to resemble a boy. He likes boys. He can go either way, either way. The fact these people rode the ride, fame whores, wanted to be in his company, could lead us to also think maybe some of them were bisexual. He does like men. He does like boys. He likes boys and men. Who's to say that these same people who are actually pretending to be so loyal, they are also homosexuals? I'm going to say that. Because your behavior is identifying as a homosexual. And now these new allegations of him sleeping with children, picking up boys from the McDonald's, he's doing the same thing he did with Rhonda. One of the other women who gave testimony about how she got tangled up with R. Kelly was one of Rhonda's friends, allegedly. So she was a child when R. Kelly met her. Don't you see the pattern? And yet you all want to go on and argue about who lied about their age. He knew damn well she was a child, because a child is going to stay in a child's place by the way they walk and by the way they talk. So you want me to believe when you first met her and started talking to her, she sounded like a grown woman? She sounded grown to you, 18, 19? Nah, she didn't. The boys? Picking up a boy from McDonald's? Really, Robert? You all think that's okay. Taking pictures of these children. Coercing them to have sex with other females and males. Videotaping them having sex. These are all the allegations. And too many of them are saying the same thing, which leads me to believe they're telling the truth. He likes taking pictures of them. He likes videotaping them have sex with him. He likes videotaping them walk back and forth doing God knows what. Videotaping, probably abusing them. Physically, mentally. And that's where the crimes come in. Because in most states you cannot film people sexually. Film without their consent. And these people who rode the ride, you're all complicit. Going to government agencies to obtain identifications for a marriage license, which means you all are complicit. Aaliyah's uncle, Mr. Hankerson, you're complicit as well. Because at some point you have had to have heard the rumors that R. Kelly and your niece were doing something salacious, such as sex. Come on now. Chicago's not that big. Everybody knows that. I'm from the Chi, so I know. People talk. And you'd be surprised the same people you bump into every day just riding the damn L trying to go to work. People bump into each other all over the city. It's not that big. It's not like New York. And New York is an island. You don't know who the hell you might bump into when you're in New York. Who's in Manhattan may end up over in Brooklyn at the end of the night. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the way the world is made. The world is small and people talk. I do have a problem right now with the Clarys. I'm trying to figure out what is their part in the dealings with Robert Kelly. Did they ever ask the man for money, or they did not? As I state, Robert is known to have the girls make up stuff on paper to cover his ass. But the thing that's troubling about the Clarys is that allegedly the mother had the phone number first. And it is alleged she pretended to be her daughter on the phone messaging R. Kelly. I have a problem with that. But did they blackmail him? That's the ultimate question. And did they sign over guardianship for the child with one of his entourage? They are saying they never met a person, never had contact. What is the truth? Frankly, that concert wasn't an appropriate place for a 17-year-old girl. Although she was almost legally grown, but maybe that wasn't the concert for your daughter. That wasn't the artist for your daughter. Maybe you should have stuck to just letting her audition for musical venues for cash prizes, not an R. Kelly concert. I'm trying to make sure I'm touching on everything that's been said. Yes, thank you all for joining me. And thank new subscribers. Thank the mods on deck. Thank you. Like I said, you're entitled to believe what you want to believe pertaining to Robert Kelly. But in the end, Robert knew these girls were underage. And I think shortly after meeting them, he knew they were underage. So let's not get it twisted like this went on for 4 or 5 years. And somebody woke up and said 5 years later, hey, I'm a kid. He likes children. Robert Kelly was molested as a child by a neighbor, male neighbor. He was molested by his own sister. And then he grew up to become a child predator. And that is expected of children who have been molested by adults and other children. They grow up to become predators themselves. But at some point, Robert should have taken the high road and got himself some help, learned how to read and write, learned how to suppress the demons that were inside him. And perhaps they were too deep that he could not. I don't know. But I don't think he ever got help. I don't think he ever tried, because he had liked what he had become. He enjoyed what he had become. And as his brother once said to the news, someone was interviewing him about Robert, and he said there were two Roberts. There's two Robert Kellys. Robert Kelly told his brother that there's me, and then there's R. Kelly, pointing to a poster on the wall. Basically letting you know that there was two of them. And he was letting you know that the one on the wall is the one you should be worried about. Indeed. And it's the one that's on the wall that's now standing trial in a Brooklyn federal court for racketeering and said salacious charges. You see, the alternate personality will be the one that will hang you. Now, there is talk that perhaps they will find him not guilty. I've heard that. It's on one lady's channel. That was her opinion. Some people saying that. I think this time it'll be kind of like the OJ situation. Hello, University. We didn't get you for killing Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. We got you for stealing, hijacking, kidnapping people in a hotel room with your memorabilia. And I do believe that's what's going to happen here. We didn't get you for the pornography charges of that little girl who you knew was a child in that video that you raped, peed on. But we're going to get you this time because you rightfully deserve jail time. Because you have no self-control. And if Robert Kelly was to walk free right now, he would go back to hanging at a McDonald's, go back to using people to solicit young girls and boys at concerts, venues, wherever he stood. The game will start all over again. I want to thank you all for joining me. If you want to donate to the channel and the dream, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you so very much. I may go on later, live a little bit later, because there are some things I wanted to just touch on pertaining to one of our cases that I discussed on this network pertaining to Summer Wells. I have not been touching on anything pertaining to that because most of the rhetoric about her is naturally gossip and just people's personal opinions of what they think of the family, the parents, But as most of you know, we're living in a very sick society. We live around very sick people. And I can tell you personally that you don't know people. Now, some of you can speak from your own personal experiences of dealing with people. I can speak because I'm 50, I've lived. You don't know people. There's no such thing as knowing people. If we knew people, I wouldn't be up here talking about the trash I talk about on this channel. It's common sense. The things these people are doing to people is vile and it's sickening. And like I said, we're not talking about, running the stop sign. Somebody gave you notes during a test to cheat. You stole a pair of socks out of Walmart. I'm talking about heinous crimes that are disrespectful to the body, the mind, the spirit of another human being. That's what I'm speaking of. And these crimes are salacious, and the people need help. But you see, when you do something enough, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's eating, drinking, smoking, getting high, shopping, gambling, overeating, it's all the same. You have come accustomed to that. You enjoy that. That is now you. You are it. It is your best friend, your comrade, your lover, your ride or die partner. You see, the abyss doesn't care how you get there, so long as you get there. And it will suck you down till you are no more. Don't be one of those people. Don't be one of those people. Prayers for Chadwick Carr, missing out of East Tennessee. Foundation, Mindy Lowe, proprietor, make her stand account. Deshina Kyle, still missing out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Cal City Boys, California City, California. Summer Wells, Rogersville, Tennessee. If you see something, say something. Life is short. No guarantees. And we can no longer be those people that tell the story after the fact, because after the fact means nothing, when possibly we could have saved a life beforehand. Thank you. I love you. $ Big Angie 129 Cash App if you want to donate to the channel and the dream. God bless all of you. Thank you so much. I'll try to jump back on a little bit later when it's show enough grown folks hour. Thank you so much. Woo! What am I talking about? It's 9 o'clock in the high tea. I have to look at that clock. Oh my goodness. Thank you all so much for joining me. God bless all of you. Stay safe and thank you for following the content. New subscribers, thank you. Thank you. Queen's hitting the 8,000 mark of subscribers. Thank you so much. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you. Bye-bye.